the answer to your question, why is Europe doing this, is unfortunately extremely easy to answer. It's called racism and xenophobia. There are two kinds of refugees, fashionable ones and unfashionable ones. To be a bit more brutal, the refugees that we consider to be our own, they have white skin, they worship Jesus and the Madonna, they're usually tall and in the xenophobic Europeanist eye, handsome and blonde and usually blue-eyed. And then there are the brown people. The brown people that should be kept out with a stick if necessary, with a machine gun, handcuffed, thrown into the water. Europe, look, I have been known to say that Europe has been losing its soul since 2015, when it reached an agreement with President Erdogan of Turkey. Actually, it was Angela Merkel that did it, on behalf of the rest of the European Union. Even the Greek Prime Minister that once was my comrade, Alexis Tsipras, co-signed that despicable agreement. It was an agreement that I characterized it as the death certificate of Europe's soul. But then, of course, people will say to me and have said to me, quite rightly so, what on earth are you going on about? Europeans have desecrated the globe, the planet, for hundreds of years. We have committed atrocities in Africa, in Asia, in South America, in North America, in Oceania. Why are you saying that we had a soul to lose? Well, because we convinced ourselves since 1945, especially with the creation of the European Union, the rule of law, human rights, bills of human rights, more bills of human rights, that somehow we were civilized. We're not civilized. Europeans are savages, and I include myself in that. I don't make a distinction between good Europeans and bad Europeans, to the extent that this is done in our name, that people are drowned in the Aegean Sea on purpose. This is not an accident. We're not talking about the side effects of a policy. We're talking about a direct, planned, conscious policy of killing people at sea. Why? Well, it's very clear. And it was said to me by a high-ranking European official some time ago in private. So, because I want to keep private messages private, it doesn't matter who it was. This is a widespread view that, look, we need these people to send SMS texts back home to Nigeria, to Ghana, to Afghanistan, to Pakistan. We need the brown people who are coming to our shores to send a text message to people back home saying, don't come, this is hell. That's it. I mean, why do you think that Moria, the prison camp for refugees for all those years, was a place that you would never associate with an advanced country? People were sleeping in mud, in disease-infested tents for years on the island of Lesbos. It's not that the European Union could not afford to build them a palace. We could afford to build them a palace if we wanted to. They didn't do it on purpose because they wanted those text messages to flow back to Afghanistan, Ghana, Nigeria, Bangladesh. Don't come here. It sucks. It stinks. It's horrible. It's disgusting. And also to know, there was a parliamentarian in Greece's parliament who actually came and said the only way of solving the refugee problem, stopping the refugees from coming, was blood in the Aegean. This Emma Stoyeo, blood in the Aegean. This guy today is the Minister of Health of the Greek government, right? So let's have no qualms about this. Call a spade. Europe is intentionally killing refugees to keep them off their shores if they're brown, and intentionally even encourages them to come in if they're blonde, blue-eyed, and Christian. So it's racism in action. Make no two bones about it. I mean, anything that we say beyond that, anything that tries to be more sophisticated theoretically, is an affront against the truth. Let's not try to find subconscious explanations and this and that. Now, ever since Forensic Architecture published their splendid study report and presented all this evidence, because those of you who give it some time and you visit their site and look at the events that are documented, 1,018 cases of illegal pushbacks between March of 2020 and March 2022. You'll find that there is evidence in there, including the serial number of the Coast Guard vessel involved. How many refugees were pushed back? In which direction? Where did they end up? So they did a splendid job, and we owe them a debt of gratitude for that. Right? Now, when DiEM25 across Europe and Mera25 here in Greece, our political party here in Greece, when we publicized that, listen to the response. There were two kinds of interventions that we as Mera25 made here in Greece. The first one was me personally as the leader of our parliamentary party. Our parliament gives leaders of parliamentary parties the privilege of tabling written questions to the Prime Minister that the Prime Minister, according to the rules of our parliament, has an obligation to answer on the following Friday during Prime Minister's question time. So I tabled a one-page question comprising effectively a summary of what the Forensic Architecture report says. And I asked the Prime Minister of Greece two simple questions. Number one, does he confirm or deny the validity of this report? He could have said, no, I think it's all a pile of crap. And here's why. And the second, if these reports are valid, does he support the notion that violating international law for the treatment of people who are in trouble at sea, there is, something called the law of the sea, about people who, for whatever reason, maybe some of them are, they're stupid. They take a dinghy and they try to cross the Atlantic. Nevertheless, the international law of the sea specifies that if you find, you personally as an individual or as a Coast Guard, you come across some idiot that is stranded at sea, what you have an obligation as a human being to do. So I asked the Prime Minister, is the violation of the international law of the sea, do you consider it, Prime Minister, to be a decent policy for fortifying Greek national sovereignty? Right? Because this is usually the fallback position of these people. So I tabled this. It went through the protocol of Parliament. He has an obligation to answer. Lo and behold, Prime Minister Mitsotakis did not answer. No answer. He didn't even answer that he's not going to answer. That he's got some other engagement that he won't be able to come to Parliament to respond during Prime Minister's question time. Silence. The press that belongs to the oligarchs that own Mr. Mitsotakis, silence. Complete silence. Okay? This is one response, silence, from authority, whether it is political authority or the media establishment, right? Okay, now, in the public domain, where the establishment, as you all know, employs multitudes of trolls in Twitter, in Facebook, in the social media, they all came out in huge strength, attacking Mera25 and me personally as a national traitor because I do not prioritize the defense of national borders from the invading hordes of Muslims and brown people. Some of them even said that, with sort of cynical lines like, if you love them so much, you know, marry them to your daughter so that they get national citizenship, you know, Greek citizenship, or bring them to your Aegina house. Now, I'm saying this because this is not an aberration. This is what the mindset of the average European is. And I'm looking at so-called liberals and I'm saying, shame on you. Because even if you are not thinking that way, your silence is enabling this mindset. Europeans are collective criminals who are intentionally killing people to keep brown people out while we are encouraging white people in. Thank you.